When I was growing up, going to shul on the high holidays was actually quite a challenge. I went to shul every week. Grew up in an Orthodox family. But yet the high holidays seemed to be a lot more challenging. Double the amount of time, sit there for hours. The book was 400 pages. Can you imagine the sensation of only being up to page 90, knowing full well there's another 310 pages to go, plus a speech, reading of the Torah, which isn't in the main section of the book, and then the singing? You can imagine the pain. Not the pain physically, but just the absolute bother. It makes so much sense why so many of my friends stopped going and why I wished I could stop going. Or why I could just come in the middle and leave. But because we sat in the front row, and because my father would daven right next to where I sat, I didn't really have that choice. I didn't feel constricted. I didn't feel that I was being judged. But I definitely wished that I could have perhaps not had to be there. The only really positive memories that I have from shul on the high holidays was the singing. I loved how the whole community would come in together. And the other great thing that I loved about the high holidays was when I actually got a break in the middle, I could go outside and talk with my friends. And we can talk about stuff that we actually cared to talk about. Now, as a rabbi of a community, I actually see that nothing's changed. I still find that in many shuls the service is very, very long, and that the most exciting part is either when people can come together and sing, or when we can actually go outside and have a conversation about something interesting and relevant to our lives. Whether shallow or deep is irrelevant. So what I did, and what I'm encouraging all rabbis around the world to do, is start looking for what are the things that if people could talk in shul, what would they talk about? They'd probably talk about health, wellness. They'd talk about finance and the pressures, not how to make it, but the products of stress that are being caused as a result of school fees, that are being caused as a result of the cost of living. They'd probably talk about relationships, and they'd probably talk about spirituality, not religion, about meaning, about what's the point. Very rarely do you actually chance upon two people just schmoozing and they happen to be talking about history. Very rarely do they sit there talking about statistics of intermarriage. They've got to be really, really negative people if that's what they're filling their time with. Most of the people I hang out with, and most of my friends, don't find any of that meaningful or relevant. But we do actually enjoy discussing things like, how can we help the community? How can we help society? I've had so many friends who actually volunteered and helped out in Africa and Asia. I have so many friends that Israel is not about a terrorist hotbed, it's not about a war, it's not about borders. Rather, it's about poor people. It's about being a melting pot of different religions and cultures. Often I know people get together on a weekly basis or even on a daily basis, not to pray, but to do meditation, yoga. And so what I think, and what we do here at Spiritshul, is that shul over the high holidays should be punchy, it should be relevant, the message should be a positive one about growth. It should be about what can we do to improve ourselves and improve society. It should be about taking stock, but not of our sins, but of the wrongs that we've done to our body, the foods that we've eaten, the pollutants that we live with. It should be a message of not that there's a God wagging his finger, but rather there's a divine energy that flows through everything, and therefore we've got to respect everything in this world. And there should be a lot of quiet time in shul, not because someone banged on the table, but because people just need a bit of silence to be able to process the information. And the only guidance that should be given is maybe a breathing exercise, guiding people to relax. The singing doesn't need to be operatic. It can be simple, like a chant that allows people to come together and hear the collective voice. This Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, if you're a rabbi, think about your community. And if you're a person that wants to go to shul, think about what it is that you want and find the shul that actually is going to cater to your needs. Don't go to shul for tradition's sake. Go to shul for your sake. Find meaning, find connection with like-minded people. Much success.